YouTube, what is up? Welcome back to another video showing you guys the proof that I'm up and at it, doing exactly what I teach on the channel. So if you are new to the channel, this whole concept of really the videos that I make are all about self-improvement. So started this channel out making like pure fitness content, and then throughout my like coaching journey, working with a lot of people, I realized that people can have the knowledge, but it's like the accountability, the discipline, the mindset, the motivation, all of those things to actually keep pursuing the things that they want to start. And I was the same way. It's like I had all these dreams, had all these desires, all these things I wanted, but then I essentially woke up at 30 years old and I realized I was living an anti-life, like the life that I never said I would, which was working a corporate job, having no freedom, having a like income cap. So in the job, obviously there's like a salary, an hourly rate, whatever, and maybe you get like a 1% or 3% each year. But essentially when I was younger, I had all these dreams to like be successful. And just throughout 10 years, 15 years, because I had all these dreams when I was in high school, I woke up and I'm like, I'm completely the person I said I wouldn't be. And then it's like, how did I get here? And then I realized, like, when I started working with people, because fitness is always like came second nature to me. It's something I've been passionate about. So a lot of people dread going to the gym. They like can't stick to a diet. They can't, stick to a workout routine. But like I get dopamine from workouts. Like I enjoy going to the gym. It's like it's a form of fun for me. And so, I always kind of like had that mastered, but everything else I didn't. And then when I started working with people, I realized they struggle with the same thing. And so now on this channel, I basically just talk about that journey because, like I mentioned, I was in a job I hated. I had no freedom. Now I'm self-employed. I'm up super early in the morning. I have freedom, so I have time freedom. I can kind of make my own schedule, do the things that I want to do, live life in alignment, which is my ultimate goal, not have someone tell me what to do and when I can do it. And all that came through all the principles that I teach on this channel. And I'm very long-winded in these videos. I call them raw talks if you're new to the channel. And essentially, I just think through a topic, think through a mindset tip, something I could share to my younger self who needed this information, in hopes that it'll reach one of you guys out there and help improve your life. Because I always say, like, I'm trying to be a light in the world. I want to create other, people that are trying to become better and not aiming down, or help inspire people, not create them. That's something God does. God and Jesus puts the light in people. I just want to share the light that he has given me to become better. And so I had this thought and I took some notes, but the main theme of this video is going to be motivation is irrelevant. Focus on this instead. And I'm going to get to like the topic and the point. I never want to do like clickbait, but a lot of times I have to like talk through these stories or these different concepts to help me like articulate my thoughts better. And so I try to make these videos almost just like a podcast, to where there's not a bunch of crazy edits and noises and sounds and everything. It's something that maybe you're doing a stretch routine or a gym routine, or, cleaning up around the house, and you can just throw this on. Because when I consume content, I do the same thing. I like to listen to a lot of like long form stuff that I'm trying to learn from people. And then I'll just like throw on my headphones when I'm cleaning or whatever. But essentially I wrote down, I was sitting at the computer and just felt really good. Everything clicked. When that happens, maximize it. And so that's like a little like nugget I wrote down whenever I was just like inspired. But the other morning I was sitting at my desk, I just was getting caffeinated. So I drink, like a pre-workout every morning. Some people drink tea or coffee, whatever, but it helps me kind of get in the flow state. So I'll wake up, kind of get my mind going, my body going, drink some fluid, drink some water, some electrolytes, and then probably like 30 minutes to an hour, take some caffeine. And, I sat down at the computer and I was just like overwhelmed with positivity. Like I pray every morning, like gratitude. I write out my goals, and I was just sitting at the computer and it was just like euphoria. I was like, man, like this is what life's about. Like I'm motivated. My business is doing well, like positivity's flowing towards me. And then I thought about it. I was like, just last week, I was in like a dark moment in my mind, like doubting myself, imposter syndrome, felt like business wasn't like doing it exactly how I thought it would do. And it was a reminder, like I stopped right there and I started like writing out this video, because I'm like, that mindset that I had like last week, like that downtime, that used to throw me off course. And so a lot of you guys will start stuff. You'll be super motivated. You might start these business ideas or this new workout routine or this new diet, and you're like super fired up and you're super motivated. And then like 2 days later, you're in that dark spot. Something in your life happened. Something happened with a family member. Something happened at your job. Something happened with your finances. Now you're in a dark spot, and then you just quit. That was what kept me like held back into that anti-life I was telling you guys about. That's the exact thing. And so when I write down or when I want to talk to you guys about motivation is bullshit or motivation is irrelevant, understand that it comes down to the daily non-negotiables. And so the old version of myself, like I just mentioned, would have quit, would have failed, would have stopped. And then what would I have done? I would have got back into the instantly gratifying things that I didn't want to do because they were fun and they gave me instant dopamine versus working for it. And so when I was sitting at the computer and I had that thought, I was like, man, this would be good to make a video on, because I know you guys have these ideas. And I know I'm kind of going in circles, but just stick with me. You have these ideas and then you stop them. That's where the one thing that you want to focus on other than motivation is going to be your daily non-negotiables. And so for me, daily non-negotiables are essentially the things that you're going to do regardless of whether you feel like it or not, because they are going to be in alignment with where you're wanting to go. Now, this is going to sound brutal or a little bit like harsh, but like understand, if there is somewhere you want to go, there are going to be actions that you need to take to get there. If you don't do those actions, you are basically settling to become a loser. And like I said, that's going to come off brutal and harsh, but I want to really paint this because it was something that helped me. Like, you guys set these dreams, these ambitions, you set these goals, but then you don't do the actions. The consequences of that is you'll be a loser. And I'm defining a loser as someone who doesn't reach their goals. So you're losing. Like, you want to be somewhere, but because you don't choose to do those actions, you end up a loser. And that was essentially me. And some of you guys, like I said, might think that sounds like harsh or whatever, but like, think about it. You set these goals, you set these dreams, these aspirations, and then you don't do the things you know you should do each day. What is the result of that? It's going to be failure. It's going to be losing. I'm going to take a sip of water because I'm extremely dehydrated. I don't know if you guys can tell that I'm sweating. But I'm probably going to put the workout clips. I think with the theme of these videos, I'll start doing like maybe an edit in the morning for like the cinematics, just because I like shooting those. They're like fun to me. And then maybe like a little gym edit to show you guys the routine, and then on to like the topic of the video. I'm trying to figure out like a way to systemize this content. But when you think about that, man, it kind of like, it sounds so obvious, but most of the time, like, I think the saying something like, what seems common isn't common sense to most people, or what, like, I can't remember how it goes, but you want to be in shape. You want to see your abs for the first time. You want to make 10K a month, 5K a month, and quit your job. You want to do all these things, but then you look at the actions that you're doing each day and they are a complete opposite. It's almost like if you're in the United States and your goal is to drive to Florida, but then like you drive the complete opposite direction. Like, you're in your vehicle, so the vehicle is the actions, the way you're going to get to your destination. And instead of like having a blueprint, which is a routine and a GPS system to get to Florida, for example, you're going completely opposite because of your actions. And so if you can just understand that, like, motivation is going to come and go. You're going to be motivated a lot of days. You're not going to be motivated a lot of days. But what I've realized, and something that I learned, and I went back to try to find the video, because when I was around like probably like 18 to like 20, I used to watch a guy that you guys have probably heard of, Elliot Hulse, on YouTube. And he was like one of the original kind of self-improvement creators. And he kind of coined the whole phrase, I believe, like becoming the best version of yourself. So everyone talks about becoming the best version of yourself, but like Elliot Hulse was like one of the OGs who talked about that. I mean, go back to his videos from 12 years ago. Like, he was literally one of like the first self-improvement YouTubers. But he talked about a concept, and I remember this even when I was young, and it was essentially on like seasons. So, you know, winter is a time of like decay and things kind of dying back. And then you have spring and summer as far as growth. And so if you can think of motivation just like a spiral or a circle, it's like you're going to get into those darker, colder, like dreadful seasons, which is like the winter. And I'm kind of using this as like a metaphor, an analogy, whatever you call it. And then eventually you'll come out of that, and then spring and summer, so the growth phase will happen for a little bit. And it's almost just like this circle. And so now whenever I get into these dark spots, whenever I'm sitting at the computer and I'm just like got imposter syndrome, or I don't feel like making the content, I don't feel like going to hit my workouts, like even though I told you guys at the start, like working out's fun to me, I'm passionate about it, sometimes I still don't want to go. Like even things that are fun to you, sometimes you just don't want to do them. And that could be because your diet, maybe you ate a bunch of processed food and it threw off your hormones and your energy levels, and your dopamine system's fried. So the next day you wake up and you're paying for that. You're in like dopamine debt. It could have been like maybe you're under recovered. There's so many things that can make your system kind of fluctuate, that you have to understand that like if there is something that you want in your life, and guys, I speak so confidently on this because you have to remember, like, and you can go back and like on my videos, and I made a lot of the fitness videos private, but you can see where I was documenting waking up at 3, 4 a.m., doing the work before my job. And like, I'm telling you guys, you will be motivated and then you won't be motivated. The days that you're not motivated, if you don't have a system, if you don't have your daily non-negotiables, if you don't know what you're supposed to do each day, so the actions, you will fall back into this old version of yourself. And then you will wake up 5 years later, 10 years later, and you will think to yourself, if I would have just stuck with it. And then you'll get dopamine again, and you'll try the new diet, you'll try the workout plan, you'll tell yourself you're going to change, and then you fall back into those traps again. It's all about facing that resistance. So understanding the dreadful days are going to come, the dark times are going to come, but you do it anyway. That's the secret. It's consistency. People focus on motivation. They watch David Goggins. They watch all these motivational videos, and they're pumped up for like a day or two. They fall back into their old habits. Create your daily non-negotiables. So think about where you want to go. Think about your goal, and then figure out what you need to do each day. Unless the world is ending, unless there is an absolute tragedy in your family or an emergency, do your non-negotiables. For me, I wake up early. I get 90% of my non-negotiables done in the morning, so I have the rest of the day to focus on whatever I want to focus on. And also, you start your day off with a win. So if you are struggling in your life, you're struggling to set a routine, maybe try waking up a couple hours early. It's probably going to be hard. You're going to have to switch around your routine, negotiate with your family. You're going to have to negotiate with your boss, but like, don't live with the pain and regret. Don't, if you guys are younger than me, or even like any age, if you're watching this, learn. Like, one of the best things you can do is learn from people's mistakes. Like, you can read a book that took someone 20 years to learn and learn it in a couple hours. It's like when you're watching educational content, listen to the people who are telling you where they used to be and where they're at now, and take away those little nuggets. And what I'm saying is, like, if you're 20, if you're 25 and you're watching this, just understand that if you keep doing those BS activities and keep pushing off your goals, you will wake up, like, you're going to age. Like, you might think you're going to be 20 forever. Like, you will wake up at 30 and you might be in that same BS job doing the same things I didn't want to do. And you're just thinking to yourself, like, only if I would have just stuck with what I was doing, I would have 10 years or 10,000 hours of experience right now. And where would I be at? I think about that so much. Like, I used to make beats, so I had like a little recording studio, and I was like, dude, what if I would have just stuck with making, like, you know, rap beats or hip hop beats or whatever instrumentals for 10 years? What if I would have stuck with guitar? What if I would have stuck with when I was playing tournament paintball? It's like, now that I know that, it's like the non-negotiables become easy, because I do not want to be 40, because I'm 32 right now. I do not want to be 40 and look back and be like, what if I would have just like made videos and actually tried to help people and actually stayed consistent and got over my imposter syndrome? You know, all these things. And a lot of you guys worry about what people think. I used to worry about that too. I still do to an extent, but I also let the whole memento mori, like, at any time you can go, at any time you can die. We all have an expiration date. So many of you guys are worrying what people are going to think of you, but just reflect on death. It's like, you're going to be 6 feet under just like everybody. No one's going to remember your embarrassing moments. No one's going to remember the failures or the things that you tried and how cringy you were when you started. Like, one thing that I heard not too long ago was like, it's cringy until it works. I used to cringe at myself turning on these videos, and now I'm getting comments of people saying like, Eric, this is inspiring me and helping me change my life. So a negative comment rolls around, or some like opinion from somebody, it's like, I'm focused on trying to make the world a better place. And so if you guys want to become better as well, then do exactly what I mentioned in this video. Create your daily non-negotiables. Motivation is irrelevant. Do the daily non-negotiables whether you feel like it or not, because it will get dark in your life, but it also will get light again. And so just focus on the light, focus on being the best you can be every single day. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.